Welcome to our weekly 3-minute therapy podcast with me, Dr. Michael Edelstein, clinical psychologist, and Mick Berry, also REBT expert. REBT is rational emotive behavior therapy formulated by the genius Albert Ellis in the 1950s. And he posited that it's our thinking that causes our emotions, not situations. So if you want to know why you're feeling a certain way about a situation, look to your thinking. And if you have disturbed thinking like anxiety, anger, or depression, look for your must, look for your shoulds. It's some must, and it's a subheading of one of three musts. I must do well and get approval, or else I'm no good. You must treat me well, otherwise you're no good. And my life must go well, otherwise my life is horrible. So look for those musts if you're disturbed. Today we're going to be shining our REBT spotlight on the idea of I'm okay, you're okay. Eric Berne in 1964 popularized this idea with a book he wrote called Games People Play. And it's rather involved, but the basic idea is that he suggests that you look at things, or you look at yourself and others as I'm okay, you're okay, which means you feel good about yourself and you feel good about others. And then there are variations. I'm okay, you're not okay, I'm not okay, you're okay, and I'm not okay, you're not okay. And all of this is about how you feel about the worth of yourself and others. Whereas REBT has an entirely different view. We say, don't analyze your worth or others people's worth at all, but go for unconditional self-acceptance, USA, unconditional self-acceptance, and unconditional other acceptance. So throw out the okay part and just go for acceptance. Accept yourself, others, and the world. Mick, did you want to add to that introduction at all?
Yeah, I would say that REBT says, I'm acceptable, you're acceptable. So much of the time, people think that I hear this all the time, I need to love myself. It's important to love yourself, and people are also familiar with the phrase, love your enemies. I don't necessarily love my enemies. I accept them, but I don't necessarily love them. I don't even like them often. And there's some aspects of myself that I don't like. I'm 5'11". I would like to be 6'2", but I'm not 6'2". And I'm still acceptable, even though I'm not 6'2". There are parts of myself that I would like to be different. And if I can change them, like I would like to be more rational. And so I work on being more rational. But in those moments when I'm not irrational, I can still say to myself, I can accept myself as a fallible human being. And also, I'm never going to be perfectly rational. And I find it to be a bit of a pain in the neck. However, I can accept myself as being imperfect. So people often confuse self-acceptance or other acceptance or the world acceptance with thinking that everything is wonderful. No, we can even recognize things are not what we want, but they're still acceptable. And sometimes things are not what we want, and we can't do a damn thing about it, but it's still acceptable.
Yeah, with the emphasis, one of the emphases on things. It's things that are okay or not okay in terms of your goals. So you have certain goals, and if things block your goals, and that's not okay. But that doesn't mean anything about your worth. When you're anxious, it's normally means you're putting yourself down. And I guess Eric Berne would say you're thinking you're not okay. And in that case, I think we agree. You're putting yourself down. You're demeaning your self-worth, and you're thinking you're not okay. But as Mick is saying, the proper position is acceptance. Accept yourself and rate your actions. I did poorly or I did well, but that doesn't make me a poor or bad person, or when I do well, a great person. Mick?
Yeah, and the thing is, often people think the answer to not putting yourself down is to elevate yourself or rate yourself highly. No, that's incorrect. You're still involved in the process of rating yourself. If you're in the habit of rating yourself by your successes or failures, then or you think of yourself as being really terrific because you succeeded, it's only a matter of time until you don't succeed, and then you'll put yourself down again. Acceptance is going outside of that idea into accepting yourself regardless of the outcome, while still evaluating the results of your efforts. And then also regarding that, if you can regard your efforts as the results of your attempts as unacceptable or acceptable, often you can change the results. So if I'm trying to shoot pool and the result of my breaking the pool rack, I have a bad break. Well, okay, I accept right now I have a bad break, then I'm better prepared to become better at breaking the rack as I shoot pool by accepting what is happening now. So acceptance doesn't necessarily mean resigning yourself to being dissatisfied perennially. It means acknowledging what can be done and seeing if anything can be done about it. Who knows? Maybe in 10 years there will be some bioengineering device where I can become 6'2". For the time being, I'm 5'11".
Yeah, there are elevator shoes, Mick.
Well,
Another, that was a joke. Sorry, poor attempt at humor. And by extension, there's this idea of self-confidence. Have self-confidence, but self-confidence again is evaluating yourself based on how you do. So if you're good at pool, then don't have self-confidence. I'm a good person because I'm good at pool, but have task confidence. I probably do well at pool based on my past performances. So that's task performance rather than self-confidence about how you do. Yeah, Mick?
yeah, and you can have task confidence also. I'm pretty good at pool. I've been really good at, I've been working on it. I get better and better. And I know that I'm really developed as a pool player. But again, REBT would say, rule out the demand. I don't have to be good in my next game. And then you're better prepared to take the care, knowing that it doesn't happen by magic. It happens by your scrutiny and your development. So you can use your mind to assess situations and do as good a job, attempt to do as good a job as possible. So again, accepting ourselves and not rating ourselves, even rating our tasks, saying, I'm a great pool player. Well, I'm developed, but I want to be even better. So rather than focusing on rating my ability, I can focus on what is it that I would like to accomplish.
Yes. And to avoid all this self-rating, get rid of your musts, get rid of your shoulds. I must do well leads to self-downing and thinking you as a total person, your worth is not okay. And others must treat me well also is other rating and leads to being angry, resentful, hostile toward others. And my life is not okay also leads to, if you have a must in there and it must be okay, then that leads to addictions and procrastination. Yes, Mick?
Yeah, and I think also the must can lead to life downing. It's possible to do badly at pool and not rate yourself, but say life is terrible because I didn't do better. So I don't think it's just self-downing, though it's probably the majority of the time, but it's still possible to have life downing by maintaining your demands.
That's right. And if you're life downing, then you're less likely to try to improve your life, but you're more likely to just feel depressed and escape from your horrible life in drugs or procrastinate to avoid facing things. Mick, did you want to have a last word here?
Yeah, I have observed with myself and other people that as people have low frustration tolerance, which comes from thinking life must be easy, as people have low frustration tolerance, they tend to avoid tasks and their life actually can become more difficult. Whereas if I can tolerate frustration, I can then maneuver things and learn and improve things so that my life can actually become easier. So I would send out to people a big warning: work on your higher frustration tolerance so that you will have the patience and the fortitude to improve your life so your life can actually become easier, and then you don't have to tolerate as much frustration.
Yeah, exactly. So when you have problems in your life, don't say your life is horrible, but as Mick is saying, work hard at trying to improve things.
I'm
Okay.
accept I'm acceptable. You're acceptable. The world is acceptable. That's how REBT improves upon I'm okay, you're okay.
Great. Very good. Very good. Okay. I am Dr. Michael Edelstein, clinical psychologist. If you're struggling, go to my website, 3minutetherapy.com, and you have this contact information about me. I've also written a book called 3 Minute Therapy: Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life. So that might be useful. And Mick and I have written a book called Stage Fright, which shows you how to overcome performance anxiety, public speaking anxiety. So that's another useful one. Okay, thanks very much, Mick. And thank you, Chris Rossini, our producer. Comment below if you have thoughts about our discussion, or if you'd like to suggest subjects or volunteer. Once in a while, we have a guest. A brave soul has volunteered before. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And I also do teletherapy if that interests you. And subscribe to the 3 Minute Therapy podcast to stay on the rational side of life.